What's up guys, this is GuideRanger, and in this video I will be showing you a really good and powerful condition vampire necro build, and mostly this build will be used in PvP or PvE, but not that much in dungeons. Now, it's not that used that much in dungeons, mostly because there is a limit of stacks of bleeding that one can make, and in a dungeon it will be like two condition players competing against each other in order to see who will inflict the poison or who will inflict the bleeding and who will be dealing the damage. So it's a little bit problematic in dungeons, so I highly suggest that you only use it in PvE or PvP. Now, with this build you have only 4 types of condition damage that you can inflict on the enemy, and that are bleeding, and you can have a maximum of 25 stacks of bleeding, poison, torment, and damage from fear with that rate. Now, with fear, some or almost all bosses or champions cannot be feared, so you will be losing almost 1k damage from that 1 second fear. And as for torment, well, torment will not deal that much damage, and so you will be mostly dealing damage from poison, which poison can amount to maybe 400 damage per second, and then the damage from the bleeding stacks. Now I will be going for my setup. Now as for my setup, I have condition armor, so power, vitality and condition, power, vitality and condition, and this is green, but so because of this one I have a little bit lack of condition damage. Now as for my rune that I am using, I'm using the rune which will give me 30% more bleeding duration and 15% more poison duration, so that's why I have this much poison duration, so that's why I have this much bleeding duration, and this will also give me 175 condition damage. But if you want, you can use the rune of Krite, and that one will give you more bleeding duration, but it will give you 15% less of poison duration. Go on exotic, here it is, and this will give you the additional 15 more bleeding duration, so instead of 30% more extra bleeding duration, you will have 45% extra bleeding duration, but you will have less poison duration. And with that a lot of stacks of bleeding, I have found it more useful to have a little bit more of poison duration with it. So as I said, all power, vitality and condition damage, and also I have the extra of 20% more bleeding duration from the superior sigil of agony, which for now it costs about 1 gold more. And then as for my rings and trinkets and accessories, they are not that strong, but they are all inflicting condition damage. Now I don't use this character that much, so that's why I haven't spent that much time in giving him really good equipment. But still, with the basic equipment that I got from the Cathedral of Flame, I have gotten a lot of condition damage. Now, these are the traits, but first, instead of telling you the traits as I always do, I will first go here. Now, as for this one, I have just left Summon Flesh Golem, but if you want, you can use Plague or you can use Lich Form, but I have left Flesh Golem. Now, I have used these mostly because this will give me power, and then when I use it, it will give me the ability to give the enemies 6 condition types. Now out of these 6 condition types, I will have the 2 conditions that will give me healing because of this one. So because of this one, I will be a vampire. Now I will deal 2 stacks of bleeding for 24 seconds, and as you are seeing here, I will be dealing 5000 damage and 20800, and then I will be dealing poison, which poison, although it won't deal that much damage, it is really effective, mostly because if a boss, champion or maybe a player tries to heal, then he or they will heal 33% less. As for the second one, I am using Blood's Power. Now I am using this for 3 things. One is to have might for 12 seconds, and as you are seeing I will have 350 condition damage. The second one is to inflict bleeding, and as you are seeing I will be inflicting bleeding for 1 minute, and I will be dealing this amount of damage, and also I will deal bleeding to myself. Now as you are seeing I am using consume conditions, and this will give me an additional of 743 healing for every condition that I have. Now I will be inflicting to myself bleeding, so I will have a 20-second chance that when I heal, I will heal 743 more health. And also I will have Epidemic. Now with this one will also give me 2 bonuses. The bonus of inflicting vulnerability to myself and healing for an additional of 743 health, and also when I target an enemy and use it on that enemy, and in that radius of 600, every type of condition that that enemy is suffering, nearby enemies will also be dealt with that kind of condition that the enemy has. Now as for my build, I have put 6 in Spite, 6 in Curses and 2 in Blood Magic. So as for the first one, which is the Signet Mastery, and with this one the Signets will have 20% less recharge, and also as a bonus you will gain for 10 seconds 3 stacks of might, and so you will have a 105 more condition damage and 105 power. Also I have chosen so that the marks will deal more damage. And then as for the last one, the one that I told you about, and from this one you will be healing 5% from every condition that you will be dealing. And that 5% involves in the damage from the fear, the damage from the torment, the damage from the bleeding, and the damage from the poison. And then as for the curses, the first one I have chosen to have an additional 20% more bleeding duration. As for the second one is terror, and the one that I told you is that you will be dealing damage from fear. And then as for the last one of the curses, I have chosen so that the scepter skills will have the condition duration increased. 5 seconds of poison, 9 second bleeding for both of them, 21 second bleeding, and this doesn't give conditions. And so I am using this one, and now I have 12 second bleeding and 8 second poison and 16 second bleeding, and also I have an increase on cripple 2. And then for the blood magic, leave a mark behind whenever you dodge and it will inflict bleeding. Okay, so I am going to first start with Blood's Power in order to increase my condition damage output and also increase more might. As you are seeing, Torment will not deal that much damage. And also, I can't deal any fear damage, so I have a little bit of problem from that too. And as you are seeing, I have a lot of survivability. That's why I said in PvP this build is quite powerful. So that's all guys about this vampire condition build. I hope you liked it, I hope you enjoyed it, I hope you learned from it and even tried this build maybe in World vs World roaming or PvP or PvE, because this build is quite strong but also strong in dungeons. But as I said, if there is another player with a condition build, then you might have a problem and competing against each other who will deal the most stacks of bleeding and who will deal poison or torment. Stay tuned for more of my videos for Guild Wars 2 achievements, Guild Wars 2 updates, Guild Wars 2 trade builds. Stay tuned for more. Like, subscribe, leave a comment behind, and see you next time in another video. Have a great weekend and thanks for watching this video.